Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, start looking left, pull a U-ey, park in front of the music store with the red neon light. Come beyond the show with me. Have your own show. Dave will tell you how at the end of this in our beautiful podcast studio. We're here today. Doug Jones is in the house. Excellent. It's always fun when Doug Jones is here.
It's always fun hanging with you.
Hey, man, because you never know when Doug's going to be there. But you know, when Doug gets there, it's going to be good.
I hope.
Well, yeah.
I try to keep a high level. So.
Of course. Doug Jones, great sax player. We've been crossing paths forever, just about.
Oh my God, we think about
way back.
30 years, maybe.
Could be more than that.
Wow.
Yep.
And how do we not age?
Yeah, it's amazing. No.
It's the Vaseline I put in my mirror at home.
Yeah.
Now I'm just putting it in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's easier that way. Yeah, totally. Cool. Yeah. So, sax player, what are you doing with yourself now? Also a smooth jazz artist. We're going to get to all of that.
Okay.
We'll get to everything.
Okay.
So, what are you doing now?
Right now, teaching school, public school,
Hey.
which I've been doing. It's my 26th year teaching school.
For real?
For real.
Why do I keep thinking this is like new?
No.
It's not new.
Everyone I know says that because in midlife, whatever, I decided to go back and get my certification and teach.
Why not?
And so everyone remembers that, but it seems like, well, that had to be 5-10 years ago.
Yeah,
but
right.
This
Years
is
are flying by.
year 26.
Whoa.
Yeah, instrumental music. And I go, It must be high school, right? I go, no, 4th and 5th grade, get them started.
Really?
I love it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because everyone assumes being a professional musician that, well, you must want to be. I said, nah, I do have students on that level.
Yeah.
But I love getting little kids started and excited.
I actually do too. I like beginners.
Because really, that's when you get them. I mean, you got to get them excited then. If you don't, forget about it. So
Yeah. Wow.
And they never believe I'm in a band. They go, well, you don't play in a band. And I go, yeah, why? I said, why would I make that up? And then I got to show them my YouTube channel, website. You go on YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
So that's all good.
Yeah. You were on YouTube before it was a YouTube.
Yeah. I was on, what was the one before?
What, MySpace?
Yeah.
Right?
I was on MySpace way back when.
So
I think
funny.
Steve Shore, remember Steve Shore?
Yeah.
Steve Shore got me to do that. And we played together in a couple of different bands too throughout. Well, who haven't I played with?
Wow.
You've been in this area long enough, as well as you
Yeah,
have.
right. Sure. Yeah,
Sure.
eventually.
Yeah.
It's going to be everyone. Yeah, that's killer. 26 years.
Yeah.
You going to retire soon? Someday?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I'm still loving it, so I keep playing it every year going, all right, is this a year or not,
Hey, that's cool, though.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always said the day that I think I'm going to mail it in, if I'm not giving 110%, that's when I'm done. So
that's cool.
But I still love it. I mean, everything. Like I love playing more than ever.
Hey,
and that's that weird thing where you think, well, whatever. I said, I can't imagine not playing. I mean, that's one of those things that'll on stage someday.
Yeah,
that'll take me out, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Not the people that have to carry me off.
I've died on stage plenty of times.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different thing. I think we all have.
Yeah.
You do this long enough. Not every night's glorious.
Yeah, no, that is true. Yeah. Well, hey, that's cool though.
Yeah.
So you're digging it.
Yeah, I love it.
And you never imagined in the beginning.
No, I mean, it was one of those things. I was always a musician. I think I started playing out when I was 15 or 16, doing like paid gigs and stuff.
Sure.
Playing, we were doing a couple of buddies in high school started playing the high school dances, private parties.
Sure.
And, every weekend you come back, you're 16 years old, you got a couple $100 in your pocket, and you go on, hey, one job. It was living large back then.
Yeah.
So it was pretty nice. And then kept it going. And over the years, those are the days you could do it full time and make a living.
Sure.
You were 8 to the bar days, whatever, where, there's on salary and whatever.
Yeah, you could.
It
could be done.
You could. And then at the point, I had 2 kids, and they were pretty close, like a year and a half apart in age. And the second one, my ex-wife said, this isn't really cutting it. So I said, well, what do I like besides? I love teaching kids. So I already had almost a master's degree in communications and business, and I was working on my MBA in marketing. But I wasn't loving it. And I said, I enjoy teaching, so I went back and got certified, and I've loved it ever since.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah. It's nice.
What did you ever think you were going to do with all that education you didn't know?
I didn't know. My parents were very much into we all get educated. So my sister's a psychiatrist. Psychologist. My brother's got 2 master's degrees.
Wow.
My mom had masters. My dad had a master's. Went to, so it was like that was expected.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure. So I think I changed my major 5-6 times in the first 2 years. Psychology, business, communication, And then I finally said, what can I get done? And it's a communication. So I did like 56 credits in 1 year.
Whoa.
And everyone knows, the average semester is like 15 credits a semester.
That's crazy.
And I said, man, I want to be done. So I went, semester, summer, whatever. I got 56 credits in 1 year.
Whoa.
And I just said, this is what I'm going to do. And I got done. It was like, oof. And then I started working on my MBA in marketing. And I said, man, and I had one professor. I remember the turning point. He said they had this thing when they got a new hire, they would sit in a room and try to break the guy and make him cry. I went, that's sick. And I just said, man, I am out of here. This was not, I go, that's not, that turned me off so much. Yeah. I was halfway through, said, that's not what I want,
Wow.
So then I went back into teaching, and I loved it. I really did.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then playing, how do you, it's hard to, I guess you already did. You can have a career, but what would have been, who knows what would have been the next step to fully support a family?
Well, I was in an interview because I had these degrees. I went to this interview with this company, and the whole job was processing legal documents, either shredding them, filing, or whatever. Yep. And I'm on my 2nd or 3rd interview back. I knew I had the job. Yep. I'm sitting there, and I knew I had the job, and I said, I'm going to be miserable if I do this. I said, I knew music was my first love, always, never a question about it. Yeah. And I said, this is just going so far away. And so when that happened, I said, all right, well, it was like an epiphany moment. I just knew that they were making me the job offer. Here's the package, here's what, just signed the paper. Whoa. And I went, man, this is not what I want to do. And it was like those moments, and it's always funny when you have an epiphany, when you have that moment, you're sitting there and something goes boof. I go, I want to teach. I just knew at that moment. I said I would much rather, and I knew I had to go back. It was going to be 2.5 years of school to get certified in Connecticut. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to do it. Wow. So I did that with 2 little kids at home. I was working full time. I had about 56 private students a week. So I was doing that. I was gigging every night, and then I go to school in the morning. And
that wasn't enough.
Oh man,
like 56 students and gigging.
Yeah.
Still not enough.
It wasn't that it wasn't enough. I just knew that I wanted to be home more with my kids, because we're so small. My wife was saying, you got to be home for more for the kids.
I got you.
So that was his turning point. And even though she's my ex-wife, it was still like the best thing ever happened, the best advice. Because when I got that, because before that, and too, the phone rings, okay, where's the gig, what time, where do you go? It didn't matter, And I remember one of those gigs, I get a gig in Massachusetts, and this band, and they're playing like old time rock and roll, and they're all turning the page to find their chart to play the song. And you can you can relate to where I'm going with this. Yeah. And meanwhile, we're in this darkened corner with no light, and on stage there's 5 hot water heaters. Those plumbers convention. Oh. So the hot water heaters on stage. I'm in this dark corner. Was like, hey, turn the page. Not turn the page. Old time rock and roll, trying to find the music. Oh. And I went, oh. And so when I got my teaching gig, I could finally say, okay, I can say no to this.
Right.
And just pick and choose. And I was never so happy. I really, because I was kind of losing the love a little bit. And then once that happened, and then it came back again really strong.
Hey, well, that's cool.
And funny, the parallel story with that is our mutual friend, Mark Malucci.
Oh, yeah.
He did about the same time. He got away from playing full time, and he got a job with...
like Roland at the time, or Yamaha.
Yeah, it was Yamaha came later, it was Roland, but he got jobs, so we both said, we're still in music. I'm teaching kids how to play. Sure. He's selling musical equipment, but he's in music, and both of us could pick and choose. So it was really kind of a parallel story. Yeah. So it was really good. But again, the love of music came back, and it's even stronger now than it's ever been.
Wow.
And I'm probably playing more. I mean, not gigging as much, but in the basement, working on stuff, practicing, playing, recording,
Crazy.
and getting the music done and seeing it out there. So it's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's kind of cool. Yeah. I guess balance, right?
I really think it's the word balance, just finding a balance for what you love to do, but you have responsibilities, and finding that ground. And because I couldn't imagine going to a job every day I hated. I just couldn't imagine that. And it's never, not every day is a great day teaching. But even my worst day is still better than.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I worked with a woman too. She was a career change, and she used to tell me, and she was in banking or corporate, whatever. And she said, my worst day teaching is better than my best day in corporate, whatever.
Hey, man.
But again, you have to love what you do.
Yeah.
And someone in corporate's going, this is the best job I ever had. And so
good
it's all,
for them.
Yeah, and good for them. It's all individual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what my parents used to say too. They're like, whatever you do, you could end up doing it a lot.
Yeah.
So make sure you don't hate it.
Well, that's it.
Okay. I'm like, all right.
And that's it. And it's hard to realize that when you're young, and then later on, you really appreciate what they meant by that. You know, that just to be able to show up to work and you don't mind. There's never a day that I dread going to work.
Hey, that's great.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Well, but you also, if you pulled all those credits, you must have known that like you could do what you needed to do.
Oh yeah,
like you would already, you're just like, all right, I'll get myself into this situation.
Yeah.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
And
it was one of those things where, by the time I was done, I had enough credits for a PhD.
Wow.
Literally, I probably had 190 credits, college credits. It's like they just weren't concentrated in one area. That was the problem.
And your parents still aren't proud of you. Can you imagine? You're like, I'm the most
still
educated person in America.
I'm still working on it. Mom and Dad, look over here.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's the middle child syndrome.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, middle.
Wow. Where did you grow up?
Up in Enfield.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and it was nice because it was always a weird thing because when you're in Enfield, there were the Springfield, Massachusetts bands and the Hartford bands, but they never seemed to cross. It was the strangest thing.
Yeah.
And so and at the time I was going to college, University of Hartford.
Okay.
And I had been playing out with my high school buddies and all that, but I had no connections to the next level. So I literally, I started auditioning. I would hitchhike. These are back in the days when you did that.
Sure.
It probably still wasn't so smart back then.
Right.
Everyone picked me up as an ex-con or whatever, going, yeah, I just got out last week. We didn't even ride to. Hey, cool.
Yeah.
Always nice people though. But I would literally hitchhike from West Hartford up to like Westfield, Mass to audition,
Wow.
and do that. And then I finally got a gig up there. And the band I got the gig was with a band called Fat Chance.
Okay.
And interesting enough, the guitar player grew up with this guy in New York. It was our manager, Harvey Weinstein.
Oh.
Familiar name?
Yeah.
The Harvey Weinstein.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so here I am, 19 years old, and we're playing civic centers. We're opening up for Van Morrison, Pat Benatar, The Outlaws.
So you're like, I'm on my way.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, 19, you're going, I'm playing civic centers, and Harvey's our manager, and, it was awesome. And then it didn't really work out. We had a couple of deals that kind of fell apart. So then it was like, okay, next thing. Yeah. And,
wow.
But crazy stuff. And again, Harvey, I didn't really know him, but and none of that crazy stuff I don't think was going on.
Right. It's hard to say.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's cool. Always alto?
Alto and tenor. I play them all. My favorite's alto.
Right.
The one I always go to.
Right. That's what I associate.
Yeah. So I remember just as a kid, I remember going to a record store up in back when there were record stores in Springfield. I'm going through all the records and all that. Well, first I started before that. I was a kid growing up. My best friend's brother was a drummer, and they had a rock and roll band. And a couple years older, and I remember I was in, middle school, and I said, I wanted to play rock and roll, so I quit the saxophone. And I'm talking to him one day. He goes, what'd you do that for? He goes, I want to play rock and roll. He goes, Rolling Stones have a saxophone player.
Yeah,
I go, seriously?
Yeah.
And so I checked it out. And that first one I heard was "Can't You Hear Me Knocking?"
Yeah, right.
So I went, oh my God. So I started learning that solo, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then that really got me going. Then I was in a record store, and I'm looking through, and a guy goes, hey, that band, the Fabulous Rhinestones. You ever hear of those guys? Yeah. And I got to know, and he goes, check out who's on there. And it's like David Sanborn, Michael Brecker, these guys.
Right.
I never heard of them.
Right.
So I picked up a David Sanborn record. I put it on, and he talking about epiphanies. I went, I go, you can do that on a saxophone? I go, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And Sanborn's an alto player, so that was it for me. I see. And I heard Edgar Winter after that, another great, alto rock and roll kind of thing. And my thing has always been, everyone goes, well, you should be playing jazz. And it's like, nah, this doesn't do it. Again, you got to follow what gets you excited.
Wow.
If I want to play jazz, straight ahead jazz, I would have pursued, but I love rock and roll, R&B, blues, all that stuff.
Wow.
That just and I used to tell my students, they go, there's no right or wrong answer. I go,
Right.
whatever you find the excitement with, whatever's going to make you want to go practice, pick up that instrument, listen.
Right.
It's only you, the only one that has that answer.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Interesting.
But that was it for me. That was another epiphany. I heard Sanborn. I went, whoa, my head exploded. I just went, I can't believe you can do this. You know?
So it's not jazz, but it's not
it's
gut bucket, tenor sax. It's like somewhere.
Yeah, I got this great quote in Downbeat. I did a CD with Mark Malucci. We did a live gig in West Hartford. We were being taped. We didn't know that. I think it was Tyler Clapp. Les Clapp's son, who's on the road with Peter Gabriel and everybody.
Right.
He was doing sound, so he recorded us, and then he put a CD out, and the guy from Rolling Stone, Downbeat Magazine did a review, and he goes, wow, he goes, you got a fresh voice. You're not playing like the bar walkers, the honkers and all that.
Right.
Because I was approaching it more like a Sanborn or Grover Washington with that approach. So I have that quote on my website. Doug Jones has a fresh voice. Hey. Downbeat Magazine. Even Mark said, you'll be using that for life. I go, you bet I will. You better believe I will.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it was pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. How did you get started on horn in the beginning?
That's the weird thing, too. Is like my mom was actually a music major in college way back when. And she played cello, clarinet, whatever. She also played alto saxophone, and we had one. So she goes, why don't you play saxophone? So she would give me some lessons in the beginning. I'd do the whole grade 4 thing in school.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I loved it or not. It was just, okay, cool. It's here, I'll play. And I used to get yelled at to practice, you got to go practice or you're not going to do this. Okay,
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like that middle school experience with the Rolling Stones that they have and then I was just an animal. I mean, I remember doing like 9th grade, 3 hours a day, just in there, just practicing and going for it.
It just made sense.
It just made sense.
Wow. And that you didn't even, there was just an alto in the house, so it could have been a tenor.
Yeah, just an alto. And later on I found a tenor, picked that up, and I got a soprano. And then my love, the saxophones come in like, 7, soprano, soprano, alto, tenor, baritone, bass, contrabass. Ooh. I actually got a guy called me up and said, hey, this guy has this old saxophone in his garage. And I go, well, what is it? He goes, I think it's a baritone. I go, you don't want it? He goes, nah, it looks a little bit rusty. So I went up there. The guy posted out and went, oh, my God, it's a bass saxophone. And I looked at it, I said, what do you want for it? And he goes, I was going to turn it into a plant stand. He goes, give me $50. I go, I couldn't talk the guy out of taking more money. I said, I'll buy it.
That's big.
Oh, yeah. Even then, it was worth a couple $1,000.
Whoa.
And so I had it for about 30 years. I finally sold it to a patent attorney in Texas. Because I played it once a year. It was very cool. I've got a picture of that, my Great Dane that I had at the time.
Yeah,
so
right.
The bass saxophone and the Great Dane kind of looking at each other,
wow.
And it was great. But I said, I'd rather have someone else that really wanted it. So
and contrabass is bigger?
Contrabass is bigger.
Really?
Yeah, the bass sax would be about 5 feet tall, maybe. You could put a basketball on the bell.
Wow.
Contrabass is about 7 feet. It's huge.
Wow.
But I'm not a big fan of the lower saxophones. It's always been alto. So I like tenor also, but alto is just my home base.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
What's the rookie question? The difference between alto and tenor?
Alto's a smaller horn. I mean, not hugely smaller, but it's just a higher pitch. The fingers are the same on both.
Oh, really?
Like I can pick up the tenor and do. I mean, it's pretty close.
Oh, okay.
But I really find a lot of guys either gravitate, and I would be curious to know why, either alto or tenor.
Yeah.
I mean, some guys do them all really well. But a lot of guys either have a tenor and maybe an alto just in case. I have my alto. And depending
tenor just in case.
Yeah, depending on the gig, the tenor. Like when I play with Mark, I play a lot of tenor. He likes that. See. But if I'm doing, I've been doing fill-ins for the band Avenue Groove. When their sax player can't make it, I fill in. And, I have both for that, depending on the tune or whatever. When I played with the band Stepping Out Forever, which you filled in with before, that was mostly alto. And and most people don't know when they hear it. So they're like, it's a saxophone.
Yeah, right. That's cool.
Yeah. But to me, I just love the voice. I just love, the Sanborn thing and Edgar Winter. Just those are the And those guys don't play tenor at all. They're just alto players. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. So that's still the main horn. That's still my go-to.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, it's all good.
Killer.
Yeah, but I record with them both. Like I'm just doing. new single I have coming out in February. So I did, the whole chorus,
Sure.
with stacks of saxophones. So it was alto and tenor and whatever, so it's right there. It's by the microphone stand and ready to go.
Yeah.
And all good.
Killer.
Yeah.
So what about your smooth jazz career somewhere in there, right?
Well, that started back in the 90s, I guess. I was in a band with, Jeff Ladd from Tire Biter, the bass player?
Yeah.
Jeff, Pete Hickey, who I still play with today, keyboard player. We've been playing together forever. Dave Moore, drummer. He's down in Florida now. He does a cool thing. He's a solo drummer, and he's got tracks, and he sings. And he's been at the same place for like 15 years at this Tiki Hut thing. And he loves it. The guy, Doug Riley. We had a bunch of original music, and we're getting really close to a deal in Europe. And the manager at the time, we didn't know this at the time, but he was asking way too much, ridiculous stuff. And they really wanted us, but they couldn't justify what he was asking for.
Yeah.
But we were by our phones every day, just waiting for that pickup, waiting for that call. And it fell apart, and I said, you know what? I'm going to write my own stuff for me. I'm the lead singer on saxophone. Mine's a lead voice, whatever. And that's kind of where it started.
Yeah.
And then, so now I'm like 7 CDs later and about 10 singles on smooth jazz radio, whatever.
Hey.
Yeah, so it's all good.
That's cool.
And to me, it's like I love, I did a Christmas CD and seeing my single with some of my heroes on there. You're on the same chart.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right next to each other in chart and you're going, oh my God, I've listened to this guy forever. And we're right next to each other on the charts,
That's killer.
So that's pretty exciting.
That is cool.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
I still get as much, when I hear it on the radio now, I still get as much of a thrill as it's still exciting.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
And you're just going to keep doing that, making albums?
Oh, yeah. I'm
Why
keeping
not?
going. Yeah, I get a ton of songs. Because I've had people approach me, say, I get some songs. I go, I have so many songs. I said, I appreciate it, but I have so many of my own songs. I get I'm just not looking for anything other than what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, right.
The only thing that's changed is now I've got a producer I use.
Oh.
So with technology, with like GarageBand, I love the program GarageBand for the DAW, digital, so workstation. So I record all my stuff in my basement. I'm sitting there working away. What I can't play, I do loops and chop and paste and whatever and record, and then I send it off to this guy, Chris Davis. And Chris has got Grammy nominations and a bunch of number ones. And and I always say is when you listen to any really great artist, you hear the original recording, then you hear what the producer did.
Sure.
If you hear the Beatles recordings and you hear what George Martin did, you went, oh, I get it. You hear what the producer, and that's your job, elevate it, take it to another level.
So he'll do that.
Yeah, and this is my 3rd time working with Chris, and I just love what he does. He's a great guy, and of course, being this day and age, if he walked in a room right now, he wouldn't know who I was. We've never met face to face.
Whoa!
It's on the phone. It's sending file.
That's funny.
It's crazy.
That is crazy.
It really is just phone call. He's just never been in the same room.
Did you ever know Claire Fisher, the arranger?
Yeah,
used to do all Prince arrangements. They never met.
Oh,
it was the same
Isn't
kind of
amazing?
deal. Yeah, Prince was like, I don't even want to know.
Oh wow.
Oh,
and another,
it can happen.
Oh yeah, another one happened too. Is this from Facebook? Sometimes you wonder. There's this band called the Funk Fathers out of Algeria, and they gave me some likes, whatever, and they would listen to my, hey, love that, whatever, and then they said, hey, would you mind doing a little playing on one of our songs? I'm like, sure, and they did a song called Love Thing, and they were trying to get some artists from all over the world just to play a little part, and they're going to put this whole thing together called Love Thing.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and then about a year later, the guy goes, hey, we want to do an instrumental version of this. Can you record the sax and play it on that? So I went to our buddy Troy Slocum.
Nice.
Who we've worked together forever,
Yeah.
For 30, and he's recorded a bunch of my CDs. I recorded that, and then the first time I heard it was playing in Paris, and I'm going, holy cow, but I'm like a little kid in a candy shop. I still get so excited going, oh, my song's being played in Paris, or I'll get, and one of my songs was on the BBC, and I just get, it's not about the money or anything. It's about just, I love playing, I love recording. And when you hear something that you came up with in your head for however that happened, just hear it being played back on the radio and people actually like it, So, and we just did a concert in Hamden, and I'm out there doing, 3/4 of the set with my original stuff.
Wow.
And people there clapping, enjoying it. And
hey.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
That's
it's all
exciting.
good.
When did you first realize that you could write? When did the writing start? Because not everybody does that.
No, and so weird. And I don't even know, and then the stuff you just because you don't think about it or talk about it, but you go on, how come these things are popping in my head? Where are they coming from? And then being a horn player, my keyboard technique wasn't great, so I started taking keyboard lessons with Mitch Shakur.
Oh,
I used to literally drive to his house in Sunderland, and he would give me piano lessons. We sit there, and he's just an awesome guy. He's just a really cool guy. And another guy in Springfield I stayed with too, just so I had enough, not enough to be just enough. I knew how to chord out a melody or whatever. Yeah. And then I just slowly started writing some stuff. And originally it was Vocal Tune. It was like that band that was in it was called Life O'Reilly. Okay. We're almost a deal in Europe. It was called Life O'Reilly. So I was writing vocal tunes for that. Okay. But for me the hardest part was lyrics. I'd be painstakingly over lyrics. Yeah. Sure. I hear comedians talk about one word, changing that one word, they'll slave over one word. Kind of the same thing with lyrics, I don't want to have some weird, I don't want lame. I want something that's meaningful or whatever. Yeah. And then switching from that, it's just I have, all these songs in my head. It's just so, it sounds like, I'm not saying I'm crazy. I'm just saying, well, maybe I am. I don't know. It probably takes a little bit of craziness to be doing all that, but
someone's got to do it.
Well, I know. And the weirdest thing is I've had this before where I'm literally almost waking up and I get some song in my head. I'm going, that's a great song. Oh my God. And then half of me is waking up going, that's your idea, and then you fall asleep again and you wake up, it's gone. It's gone. On my better moments, I literally get out of bed, hit my phone, record, and go and sing into the recorder. Sure. If I lose my phone, I've got like 200 plus ideas on there, so I'm always being careful with that. Wow. But that's and that's from there. And I think the weird thing is back in the day, you're always trying to write a hit. And then you realize, not every song is going to be a hit. There's CD cuts and maybe make a radio. So. And it's a much comfortable process when you realize that. When you realize that not everything has to be a hit. You're right because you're right.
Then just let it flow.
Yeah, and every great songwriter that I've ever admired said they never tried to write a hit. They just wrote what they did. And I've kind of hit that approach now too. It's just I go, no, I'm just doing what I do, Yeah. And again, you got to realize too, not everyone's going to like what you do. Sure. Not everyone's going to like the way you play, and it's just that's okay. They don't. It's being human. You don't like every right. As much as I go here and go, it's not my cup of tea, but it's okay. It's all good. That's when people talk about, well, who's better? Going, it's not a sport.
I know.
we're not running a race with a clock. It's not that. It's not the guy playing the most notes is the best. I know. And one of the great stories I heard was Michael Brecker, who is probably regarded as probably the best sax player in the world, just because the guy was a genius. Sure. And they said, well, who's your favorite living saxophone player? And he said, David Sanborn. And he said, the guy can say more with one note than a lot of guys can say with 30. Right. And that to me is the thing. It's like, can you hit somebody with just a couple notes, with just the way you're emoting on your instrument? Yeah. That's what it's all about. Again, as musicians, I've seen some of your drumming videos online. We all want to have great technique. We all want to get better and better and work it, but it's not to suddenly go out. Back in the day, we used to call it music store players. You walk in Guitar Center and some guys just going, shredding. Right. And then say, well, play, and they can't play three chords, Right. So for that minute, and now I'm seeing endless amounts on Instagram, on Facebook, some guy just shredding on whatever the instrument is, maybe drums or and you go, and some guys get frustrated by that and go, you don't know what else, that's 30 seconds. Let's hear the 5 minutes. Right. They're not doing it for that, and who cares? The average person is just going, that's just noise. Right. And a great example of my kids at school be coming in, and I go, Mr. Jones, let me hear you play flute today. I go, okay. And I'll play, I could have made him do a Charlie Parker lick, and to them it's just noise. It's like, that's all they're hearing. They don't hear that flat nine and that thing. They're just hearing noise. And Branford Marsalis had a great quote. He goes, all these guys want to play giant steps and all that. He goes, the album for John Coltrane, it was Johnny Hartman. It's a ballad album. He's playing really set. That's what people want to hear, and I get tired of the shredders. There's moments to shred, but that can't be your ball. Just like, nothing worse for a musician to play with a drummer who just fills all over the place. And you're not that kind of drummer. I know that.
I don't like doing fills at all.
No, you didn't want to do a solo the other night either.
No. That was so funny. The only thing with that is it was too quiet.
It was too quiet.
I don't like, I shouldn't say I don't like drums, but I'm like, there's someone eating.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to You know,
as there's salads going on.
just, you know, like it would have been, or actually, no, it doesn't matter what they get, but they kept bringing it down.
Yeah.
And then going solo. And I'm like, no.
You know, and maybe
like, I don't want, like, it would be cool if we were, if we were in full swing and they just said, take it. I'd be like, okay, cool.
There you go. Your time.
But I just feel like, I'm like, I don't want to play loud, you know, because it's so nice. And then my solo was, I just stopped. I just won't play at all. But
I feel the same way we do. I do a gig in New Haven every third Wednesday. We're at this Mediterranean restaurant. It's me and a piano player.
Yeah.
And the same thing I'm very conscious about. Sometimes there's a table right next to us.
Yeah.
And you get ready to play, and it's like, oh, man, I'm trying to find, you know.
I know. Well, you know, that's something I don't think the electric, because we play acoustic instruments.
Exactly.
And I don't know that sometimes electric or electronic musicians, I'm not talking about the gig, but they don't realize how dependent we are on what the room sounds like and how loud it is. And sometimes it's the whole gig.
And the other thing too, and you know too, there's a certain volume level to get your sound out that you're working on.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Whether it be the way you tune your drum or the way my saxophone, there is a certain volume level to get the tone you've been working on or whatever. And then if you go below that, you're going, it's gone.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, it was the hardest thing. I spent years trying to figure out how to play quieter.
Yeah, that's a tough thing.
It's not easy.
No.
At all.
No.
And then to play with intensity quietly.
Well, that's the key right there. It's one thing to play quiet, it's another thing to play intensely also. Like one thing I do in my band at school, we're working on this piece, and there's this part that gets really quiet. And what do? They all slow down. I go, no, you got to keep it. You got to keep that going. Don't, you know.
Yeah, I know.
And that's a hard thing.
It is. It's a thing. Yeah, I was going to say, you know, when we're talking about players, like I have a theory in a way. It kind of holds up maybe. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I got to rethink that. But yeah, when I hear players, sometimes when there's too much chops, it's like, I don't want to hear what you know. I want to hear how you feel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But then also if the way you feel is you want to show me what you know, well, okay, that's cool. But that's not as interesting.
No.
Because anybody can know anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can just figure it out. Like if you want to know, just figure it out and practice it.
Oh yeah.
But, you know.
Well, I think about the stuff I practice in my basement. It's not coming out to the stage. It's just technically going to make me a better player.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe open some avenues. But I remember, and you'll appreciate this, one of my favorite drummers, Steve Gadd.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and every summer we like to go up to Tanglewood. James Taylor always does his residency at 4th of July. So we always get tickets, go up. I love it. And you watch Steve Gadd, he's playing the gig.
Yeah.
You know, he's not, I mean, he would be fired if he played. And what that guy knows is beyond belief. But he's not doing that. He's playing the gig.
Right.
You know, and that's so important. You watch that. A guy who could do anything is keeping time.
Yeah.
A couple simple fills here and there.
Well, I think, you know, to me, Steve Gadd, apart from that, I mean, he's a soulful player.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I noticed the most.
Oh, yeah,
The
that's
rest
what I
is
love.
the rest. So,
yeah.
So he probably just, you know, that's what it's all about.
Oh, yeah.
You
And
know?
the same thing, too. I know people would talk about Vinnie Caliuta and, you know, whatever. And I go on, you know, I get to feel the soul from a drummer. I want to feel that. And you can. And then people going, how can you feel it? He's just keeping. I said, no, you can.
Well, you know.
You can seriously, you know, feel that. You know, and the same thing as a musician, when you're playing, when a drummer's there and he's got the soul and all this behind you, it's effortless to play. You just start soloing. And
hopefully.
And it is, you know, versus a guy maybe who's a little, you know, and it makes a big difference.
Well, I mean, whatever, speaking for myself, I guess I got lucky in a way. Like, I understand that drums are an accompaniment instrument. They just are.
Yeah.
So I spend all my, you know, effort just trying to make everybody comfortable so that they can do their thing, because that's the job. In my mind, as a drummer, you're just supposed to make it feel good and make everybody kind of vibe and then stay out of the way, and that's it.
Well, and that's really, as a horn player too, is like my job is if I'm working with a singer or whatever, stay out of their way. You know, if they're singing in a certain range, you either better play below that, maybe above it if it's right, but stay out of their way. And then when it's your time to shine, then you do what you do.
Right.
And then you back off again.
Right.
You know, because the guy from Downbeat Magazine, Mark, he was saying, well, how do you view your role in the band? I said, I kind of view it more like an organ player. I'm just kind of filling in, some sound because it's really bass, drums, guitar. And so when Mark is soloing, I'm trying to lay down some just root chord stuff, holding it out.
Oh, that's cool.
Maybe a little rhythm, but I'm out of his way, but just trying to hold it down, So you really got to view your role. Any musician, you have to really say, what is my role in this band?
Right.
It's not to be the star all night long. It's like, you got to view what are you?
Yeah.
The singer's going to be the star all night long. If you're backing up a singer, and then you have your moments.
Well, that's always been my thing too. Is like I could play to impress other drummers, but they're not going to give me a gig.
Oh no!
Where if the singer loves you, you're good. So I hook up with the singers.
There's a great,
and I like it. I like singing.
Yeah, there's a great story about Richard Marx, a great singer-songwriter who's whatever. And I guess his drummer one night they're doing a gig, and the Modern Drummer magazine shows up, so he starts playing. And I guess Richard Marx, I don't know if he fired him, but he read him the riot act.
Oh no!
Said no one's here, no one cares, And I used to. Just certain times people do that. You can tell there's someone leaning against the wall.
Oh, well, sure.
And that's time and going, oh, please, they're not going to hire you.
I know.
They're not buying your CD. They're not, that's not who you're trying to impress.
Well, nowadays, you just save it for your YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, you can just do your licks.
Yeah.
And someone will appreciate it, some other drummer. But but on the gig, just do the gig.
Yeah, do the gig.
Yeah,
play the guy too. Dave Henry?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Dave's like that too.
Yeah,
Dave goes, I hate to fill. I don't want to solo. I don't want to fill.
Yeah.
And even my guy I've been playing with you, this guy Tom Purick, and Tom is monster player. I got to beg him to take an 8-bar solo. No, those days are gone.
Yeah. I don't like soloing at all.
No, and he lays it down like nobody. He just lays it down, but he will. And there's one song he goes, all right, I'll give you a solo. But even then it's rhythm. Then he go, and he's always looking at me. All right, I'm done. And I appreciate that. And there's nothing worse when you're playing and some guy's just filling all over the place, and it's like, oh well.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, that's the way it goes.
We have all the answers right here. We can write the book on being a performing musician.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Do you think that, so when you're getting into sax, you must have a gift for melody. Like I'm just thinking like I'm a drummer, so I don't, I just don't think like that.
Yeah.
And you just think, once you get in your zone, you're just able to come up with, like to solo, I'm always amazed. I'm like, how do people have all these ideas?
Yeah.
So that must be why
Well, a lot of it is too, I remember as a kid, my grandmother would stay with for the summer, and I knew, she liked certain songs. I would try to play these melodies because I knew she was listening. And again, I tried to play them as beautifully as I could. At that time, I would try to make it really nice for her. Be playing in the basement, practicing. I was trying to do that. And then when I started doing gigs and stuff, it was really important to me to play the melody as accurately as you could. I'm not clone it, but just be really close, sure, whatever that was. With that, and I think that starts translating into solo things idea. And I really kind of agree. The great sax player Sonny Rollins said, practice at home. You get on the stage, don't think, play. Because I want to respond to the moment.
Sure.
I don't think there's ever. It's not that I'm driving blind. I do kind of know where I'm going to go, but most of the time it's like kind of feeding off what's going on in the band on stage.
Yeah.
Just kind of relating to that. What was appropriate and what fits.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And the style of the music, whatever. I just hear too many players doing stuff. You're going, nah, not for that tune, whatever. You try to get it, and even in the studio is like when I'm recording a tune. I think in my younger days, you wanted to put a couple of impressive licks in there,
sure,
and you go, it's more about the song, what's going on.
Yeah.
And the new single, I gave a couple friends of mine. I've been doing this lately when I've got a couple songs. I'll play them for a couple of people I know that like the music. I go, what's your favorite? I said, and don't be, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. Just I'm too close to the forest for the trees.
Sure.
What are you hearing? And one was like, this one here, I like the solo flow is much better. And it was just, not pre-thought. It just came out first take. It worked out great.
Yeah.
But that's it. It was not trying to be flashy or whatever. I know what I could do from all the pride, but it's like, that's not the point. You're playing, it's supposed to be music and art, not how many colors can you put on the canvas,
Right.
Unless that's what you're going for,
Yeah.
But that's why I've never been a big fan of fusion or bebop for that matter.
Wow.
Just because, I mean, not that I don't study it. I mean, I got
Sure.
a ton of Charlie Parker licks from the bebop stuff. Doesn't mean I'm going to put it on stage.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
But it's great for technique. It's great for learning. It's just great to get those to expand the horizons, you know.
So how would you define to somebody who maybe didn't know the difference between, you know, well, first of all, smooth jazz, how would you define that to somebody?
Smooth jazz to me is more melody based.
Yeah.
I mean, a smooth jazz has a bad connotation. You know, there's like, what's the movie from Saturday Night Live? The two guys, Wayne's World.
Oh yeah.
There's
yeah,
a Wayne's
okay.
World where all of a sudden something's going on, and Kenny G's on stage, and
Oh.
he pictures himself in a dentist chair screaming.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
but that's
yeah.
the kind of the connotation. Oh, Kenny G's a great musician. I saw him in January in concert. He's fabulous.
Yeah,
Guy's
yeah, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Just gets a bad rap.
Yeah, sure.
But just pretty much any, you know, suddenly successful in
Right.
a field that's not successful gets a bad. Stan Getz got a bad rap back in the day because
Right,
he was
right.
successful.
Sure, sure.
But to me, smooth jazz is melody based.
Okay.
It doesn't mean it's not energy or doesn't have, you know, whatever. It's just more melody based.
As opposed to,
And not that. I mean, there's a lot of great melodies in,
Sure.
in jazz, you know.
Sure.
But if you start going bebop, which is more up tempo
Yep.
and more that's, you know, not quite as melody. I mean, there was somebody be arguing with me now, saying, "Well,
Sure.
it's not true," you know. And I get it. That's just my personal opinion.
yeah.
And again, the difference is it just. And I grew up when smooth jazz was Grover Washington Jr., Spyro Gyra,
Sure.
David Sanborn. These were all just amazing musicians.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's nothing. It just that was their medium they chose.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember growing up when R&B meant rhythm and blues, but back when rhythm and blues meant not what it means today.
Sure, sure.
And I always considered myself an R&B musician. You know, I could do the
Gotcha.
rock bands, I could do
gotcha.
the blues gigs, I could
Right.
do whatever.
Right.
And that to me is kind of what smooth jazz evolved into.
Yeah, yeah,
Where
yeah.
there's improvisation, but not as much as straight ahead jazz.
Gotcha.
You know, there's an old joke about someone goes, "Hey, why do you play jazz?" He goes, "I hate crowds."
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and I don't agree with that because trust me, I love Phil Woods and
Sure.
the straight ahead guys I
Sure.
love, but to me, that's just the medium I like. That really grab. And like I said to my students, you got to go what draws you in.
Yeah.
You know, no right
Yeah.
or wrong answer.
One thing when I think of smooth jazz, what I dig as a drummer, not that I have anything against, you know, swinging or non-backbeat, but like smooth jazz, you could be as funky as you want to be.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You
Like
really can.
You can groove as hard as you want, and it's cool.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
think the
Which I dig.
other side of the equation is melody, melody driven, but it's also groove oriented
Right,
too.
right.
I mean, hardcore groove.
Sure, sure.
You know, and I love going. I tell people, whatever their preconceived notion of smooth jazz, go to a live smooth jazz concert, and it'll blow you away.
Oh wow.
You know, when you
Okay,
see
cool.
these guys doing like my favorite thing, and I'll do this until they wheel me in, is a Hartford Jazz Fest, Greater Hartford Jazz Fest
Yeah,
in Bushnell
yeah.
Park. 3 days in Bushnell Park, 50,000 people.
Nice.
Friday's usually Latin jazz. I feel like I'm doing a promotion for them.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not.
That's okay.
Latin jazz on Friday, and
Yeah.
then smooth jazz on Saturday, straight ahead on Sunday.
Nice.
But man, the people out there are amazing. A crowd, I
Yeah.
mean, you name it. It's just a diverse crowd.
That's killer.
Peaceful. I've been going there since my kids were little. I've never seen a problem. You know, it's just been a great festival. But that to me, I was told, go see a smooth jazz concert.
Yeah.
You know, I said, you'll change your mind.
Hey,
you
that's
know?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, heavy groove. That's what I like.
Yeah, heavy grooves and that stuff is really good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's next? You're just gonna keep doing your thing? doing
Yeah,
what you're
you know,
doing?
I'm not doing a lot of live gigs. It's more, I've got that house gig in New Haven. I do the fill-ins with Avenue Groove. I play with Mark once in a while, but no steady gigs right now, and that's okay.
What
I'm
about
okay.
stepping out? Whatever. Are
They
still?
right pre-COVID, they just said, you know what, we were together for like 30 years.
Okay.
I mean, we did it all. It was just that was an
Yeah,
amazing band, great musicians in the band, great people.
Yep.
I miss it. It was a lot of fun, but they just said the run was here. The lead singer Darlene decided she was kind of done singing. The
Yep.
drummer's now with the band Avenue Groove, and so
okay.
So it's
that's
kind
the
of fun. We
crossover.
get to play together again still, and
Yeah.
and Troy we're still in contact, but
Yep.
so and we're looking for a sax player.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Call me up, give me a call.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's cool. Oh well, I had oh no, I can't think. I just had a moment. I'm trying to hang on to too many thoughts. But yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is having a crazy supportive wife. My wife is awesome. She's like biggest fan. She's every concert gig, amazing supportive. I mean,
that's cool.
Because this is a tough lifestyle and relationship.
Yeah.
It's just and not for what people think.
Sure.
No, it's not that at all.
Right.
It's just the crazy hours. Gone on weekends, whatever.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of dedication. But
yeah.
But anybody understands that. And
yeah.
she's
No, I hear you.
Very
one
supportive.
of the lucky ones too.
Could be in the same thing. How many years have you been married now?
Well, we've been married 18 years.
Wow, but
17,
together
18 years. Yeah, we met in 1994.
Wow.
At the Tiger.
Oh man. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So it's a product of the thing, So,
yeah.
So she knew from day one.
She knew what she was getting into. Yeah. And
we're still here.
Oh yeah, but that's key. That having that, I mean, she's one of my pool of listeners, my tunes, and she's very honest with me.
Hey, that's cool.
She'll tell me what grabs her, what doesn't, why, and I always listen, and she's right.
Is she a musician?
She plays classical piano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have a baby grand. She hasn't touched in a while. She's got a pretty demanding job. So
yeah.
She plays some music, but she's just a music lover, and
and
I love that too because she's from Venezuela. She's Latino, and I love that culture and the music. And it's just I played down in Venezuela a couple times. I was guest artist. I was an artist in residence in his club in Caracas.
Oh, cool.
I went down there, and the people were amazing. The crowd,
when was this?
There was in Caracas in 2000. The first time was 2005. No, 2006. Wow. And we were going on. I was down there doing my smooth jazz. It was me and these 3 musicians I just met down there.
Whoa.
Rehearsed, we had 4 nights down there. And they were great. But before us at the club, I didn't know this. It was like 11-piece merengue band.
Oh, yeah.
And they were killing. I was sitting there going,
Yeah.
The dance floor is packed. This 11-piece band is just laying it down and fierce. I go, we got to follow that.
Oh, boy.
But I got a better follow-up story. We still have time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that we've played every gig from amazing to, to
not so amazing.
And 2 that stand out. One is I was going down. My brother-in-law's husband, his mom was turning 90 in West Virginia.
Ooh.
So he said, "Hey, can you bring?" So I was going to bring my saxophone or a PA, and so I was going to bring some background tracks and play some music for her and stuff. And so I'm getting ready to go on and said, well, this one guy wants to speak first. He was like 80 years old. He gets up there, and this is his 90th birthday party. He goes, well, back in 1905, the worst coal mining disaster in the history, and the racism, because they're all Italians, they didn't come in. And he went on for an hour of this horrible. I go, I got to follow this. I'm going, oh, my God. And the other time,
my 3rd brother fell in the sinkhole.
That's about what it was. I'm thinking, I go, John, you got to save me. I got to go on after this. The other one, we're at the Agora Ballroom. We're opening up for Steppenwolf.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm thinking, back then, this is whatever. It's Mark Malucci's band, And so I'm thinking, it's an oldies band, whatever. I didn't realize it was the Bikers, like their national anthem and all that. So we get there. They never announce there's an opening band.
Oh, no.
So we're sitting in the dressing room and hear someone's hit your
cymbal. And they just see a saxophone in there already. Like, we're going to murder
what is that? The sign of the cross. What is that? And we're backstage, and the drummer is Tracy Sherman. I go, hey, Tracy, someone's hitting your cymbals. I can hear it. It was coins being thrown at the stage,
Boy.
So we get up there and no announcement. Right away, there's 50 guys in the front row telling us we're number 1, all their hands extended. And we're up there in the first song, and I'm watching. I see a bottle go whizzing by the bass player's head.
Oh, boy.
Literally the bass player's head. And some guy throws a coin, hits me in the eye. And then right away, like these, so I tell him he's number 1, and suddenly 3 beers go bouncing off my saxophone.
Oh.
I just grabbed and walked off stage, and those guys played one more song before they walked off stage. It was like, had to even warn the crowd, hey, we've got an opening band tonight, whatever,
And there was a saxophone.
And it was a saxophone. There's still the sign of the cross, What is that thing? So... But again, for the thousands and thousands and thousands of gigs, it's probably one hand. The rest have been either really great or really, really great. So
that's cool.
And I've always lived by. I remember years ago as a kid, some guy said, you should play every gig as like your last, because someday that'll be true. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me. Things. And I think every gig, I don't care how tired, whatever, 110%. 110 every time.
That's great.
It doesn't matter. And
I think that's true. That's what I think about you when you show up. I'm
110.
I'm going to do it.
110. In fact, last time I played with Mark, the bass player said, "You're going to hurt yourself." I go, "That's the only way I know how to play." We had one. We did Stepping Out. We did 4 gigs in one weekend. The fourth one, we were exhausted. We were playing AquaTurf in Southington. And a guy goes, "Hey, there's some guys here that want to sit in. Are you okay with that?" I go, "Yeah." I said,
"They're from Steppenwolf."
No, yeah, from Steppenwolf, and they're coming back to get you. And they go, "Yeah, sure. Who is it?" He goes, "You ever hear of the band Toto?" It was the guys from Toto.
Are you serious?
It wasn't. Jeff had passed away, so it was Skinny Picaro played drum.
Oh, wow.
Skinny was fabulous. And for those who don't know, Skinny played the intro on Hawaii 5-0, that big drum intro. That was Skinny Picaro.
Oh, wow.
And it was Mike Picaro on bass. And then Troy, the keyboard player's there, he goes, "Hey, do you know any Toto songs?" It was Steve Picaro, the keyboard player.
Whoa.
No, Jeff was a drummer.
Jeff was a drummer.
So Steve was a brother, keyboard player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going, "Troy, that's the keyboard player from Toto."
Whoa.
But they sat and played, but suddenly the band, we were suddenly full.
Yeah.
We were right back on our game,
That's heavy.
Yeah, but it really is. I really believe in that 110%. You have to, because you don't know. I mean, life can throw a curveball, so.
Yeah.
But you do too. I mean, I've never seen you mailing it in, ever.
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially those gigs we used to do in Manchester at, what was that place called?
What, with Mark?
Yeah, and Joe Greco.
I don't even remember.
Was it
around the corner?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember. But
right on Main Street.
Yeah.
Well,
and that was one of those gigs where it was like, and I laughed because being that we were all professional, we couldn't always make every one.
Right.
But I remember a couple of guys would sit to fill in, and as a soloist, you got a solo for 64 bars on one chord and make it interesting.
Yeah.
And these guys would come in, they'd play 16 bars, and they go, "You got to keep it going. You got to keep it going." And they weren't used to that. That's an art in itself too, is just learning how to play that.
Yeah.
Like over that. And I used to love when you would slow the tempo down intentionally and bring it right back in. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
That doesn't fall under the 110%.
Well, that was us having fun and make it interesting.
Unfortunately, my problem is, won't take a solo, but the more comfortable I get, the goofier. I get my sense of humor comes out in my playing, which is not always appreciated.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm most likely to do.
That's your personality, though. That makes it unique. That's all good.
Yeah,
that's what we're sticking with. That story makes it unique.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it happened. We're getting close. So I have wrap up questions, kind of, when we get to the end. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
No, I think covered a lot of. I mean, we could sit for hours and talk about gig stories and war stories, and every time we get together, any musician you play with, remember that time when and we all have a gazillion stories that people wouldn't believe if you told them. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
I know.
Crazy stuff. I tell my wife some, and she just shakes her head. It's just, oh wow. And it's been everything. I remember we played for when Bill Clinton came through. We played for him. And he's giving me the thumbs up, And it's like, hey, but there's just so many of them. There's so many, from playing for presidents to whatever. Remember that place in Stashes in New London?
Yeah.
Did you play there when you used to load through the window?
That doesn't sound familiar, but I remember that.
Oh man, but that's again the extent of the gigs from playing for the president to
load in through the window. I don't know
at a heavy duty biker bar,
Wow.
And I was always glad my kids all played instruments, but through the school system, then he said I had enough, and I was kind of glad they never wanted to pursue. As much as I would love it, and if you put me back in time to 16, I would do the same thing again.
Oh, really?
No question about it. I would teach school again. I would do this again.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah, I would do it again. But I'm glad they didn't go into it because, too, it's not for everybody. You got to do it because you love playing.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because you think about the hours you put in. I know you do. The hours you put in practicing and working and all that. Yep. Any other job, you'd be right at the top,
Right, yeah.
Right at the top. In fact, some of my musicians and friends who did go into corporate went right up because of work ethic.
Gotcha.
You don't call in sick. You work hard. You show up. You do the thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
And they went right to the top. And
if you got to load in through the window, you load through the window. That's
what you do, And their work ethic. And a couple of my friends were just crazy big in business once they got,
Interesting.
And I think that really is the ethic behind that.
Wow. Wow, I never thought about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it doesn't end. And I have told people that. I said, I hope 10 years from now I'm a better songwriter. I hope 10 years from now I haven't played my best solo yet.
That's cool.
You know, and I'm still down in the basement. You know, my wife can tell you, you know, down there working on it, doing the stuff.
Then that's the other question I ask musicians. Are you a consistent practicer? Some people are and some people aren't. And you are.
Yeah, I'm hardcore. Yeah, I really, and more so as the years go on, I'm more hardcore now about it. You know, really doing the right stuff and the right work.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah. And again, it's for my benefit. It won't make, you know, I know at the end of the day, like we always said, you're not going to make another dollar from that, whatever. It's just for me.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing it. You know, I love doing it.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah. The kids are lucky to have you around, the kids that you teach with that.
Oh, I love doing it. You know, and that's the thing.
Like
I hope my love of music can somehow get over to them.
Yeah.
You know, and they seem to, and you know, I have kids come back and visit me.
Yeah.
And I have, you know, kids I gave private lessons to write me.
Sure.
A middle school band director, I started him in 4th grade.
Yeah, right.
And I gave him lessons all through the college, and he went to music school, and he got done. He goes, "Hey, I'm looking for a gig." I said, "You got to hire this guy. He's great."
Whoa.
And he did. You know, I'm so glad. He's just an awesome guy. But
that's cool.
It's kind of cool to see that happen. It makes you feel incredibly old, also.
I know. That happens to me. Yeah, I have grown people come up to me.
Oh yeah.
You remember me? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
If you had a picture of you when you were 7, I would go, oh yeah, I remember that kid. But
well, I remember Frank Chigieri, you know Frank.
Yeah.
And we did a CD together. Well, my CDs he was playing on, and he had one of his students, his drummer with Paul Simon now.
Yeah.
Or maybe still, I forget the guy's name, from Middletown.
Sure.
But that was one of his students. You know? And it's funny to see how that turns out. And, you know, and again, for me, it's not about who's going to be the professional musician, who's just going to love music.
Yeah.
Whether they stop playing, they still want to go to concerts and whatever, and they appreciate, you know, not just watching The Voice or whatever. You go, no, it's a lot of work that goes into this, and they can appreciate what level. But
totally.
You know, and to me, that's why I like that young age. You want to get them excited then.
Yeah.
That's when you get them excited when they're young. You know, you get the squeaks and all that stuff, and that's part of the deal.
Doesn't bother me.
No, it doesn't bother me either.
Cool.
No, it's all good.
Desert Island albums, a few that you would take with you?
Wow. Okay. XL on Main Street, Rolling Stones, for sure.
Wow. Okay.
David Sanborn, the first one, Taking Off. That's the one.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Those would be at the top of my list right there. Stuck with those two. I'd be happy with those two.
Fine.
Yeah.
That works.
I'd be happy with those
two. Cool. Desert Island food.
Food would be a chocolate shake and a burger.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's
all American.
Oh yeah. And some nice fries with that. I'd be happy. Obviously, I don't do that all the time. I'm the guy in the gym. I hope. If you went to my house, people go in and go, "Oh my God, my gym doesn't have this much equipment."
Oh really?
You know, that's the other thing too. I'm down there religiously 3 days a week hitting it, and luckily my wife is in the family. Just is part of the deal.
Wow.
You know, and you know, especially as you get older. Not that we are, you know, but as you get older, keeping everything going.
No, I hear you.
I mean, especially what we do with drumming and sax. It's such a physical thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's not, you got to keep it in shape. And so I do the burger and shake thing, but that's once a week maybe.
Yeah.
My guilty pleasure, Chick-fil-A also, you know.
Sure. Yeah, killer. Is there one show that you can think of, a concert or show that you saw that changed your whole life, your whole trajectory or whatever?
Wow. You know, it'd probably have to go back to David Sanborn. I remember way before cell phones and all that. He was playing up in Saratoga. And it was a Sunday night. All my friends had jobs, you know, and I, of course, being a full-time musician, I go, "Hey, you want to go see Sanborn?" So it's a 3-hour ride from my house. So I call ahead. You have to take? Yeah, no problem. So I go driving up there. I get there, right as the show starting. He goes, "No, we stopped selling tickets." I go, "But he told me I drove 3 hours." And the security guy saw me. He goes, "Hey, come over here," and he got me in. And so, and then Sanborn comes walking down this stage, and they play, and they were just killing. They were just so on fire. You know, I mean, I've seen a gazillion concerts from everything from Pink Floyd to whatever, but that's probably the one I just went, wow, that's what you do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's the story I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was pretty awesome.
All right. Well, you know, we could get out of here. You know, I'm
Cool.
glad you came.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate
absolutely.
it. It was awesome running into you on that gig.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I think I saw you were going to be there. I saw the thing. I went, I've got to come tonight.
Oh, boy.
You know, John's going to be there. Mark's there. It's like,
I forgot our routine. We didn't get up to any of our nonsense. I forgot. You reminded me. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. We used to do this unison ridiculous thing.
Oh, man. It's too much fun.
Yeah, too much fun.
I'm sure the guys in the band were like, what are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing?
We were having fun.
Yeah, I told you we shouldn't have gotten Peckman on the gig. 'Cause then Doug's going to show up.
He's got to do it again. He's going to do it again. But Mark's a guy, too. I love playing with Mark.
Yeah.
We go back,
Sure.
oh, my gosh, 40 years. Arizona Made Band days.
Whoa.
Yeah. All through the years.
That's
so,
wild.
Yeah, another awesome human being, too.
Yeah.
You know, and that to me is important, too, is the guys I'm working with, good people.
Yeah.
You know, that's so
Always.
important, always.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, I'm going to press the button. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, hey, Doug Jones, there he is, live and in person.
Awesome.
Yeah. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, pull a Yui, park in front of the red neon light store or whatever. Have your own podcast. Dave will tell you how. Come here and be on my show with me. Doug Jones did it. You could do it, right?
That's right.
All right. Hey, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, drive safe. Why do I say drive safe? No, I don't know. Maybe you're in your car. If you're in your car, drive safe. All right, that is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.